I-cast Witch Bolt.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. I mean, you have Burning Hands, Firewall. What about Fireball, maybe?
No. Witch Bolt.
Welcome to Passion of the Geeks, the show in which two friends and fellow geeks talk about geek and pop culture and everything else we enjoy. I'm Greg.
And I'm Pat.
And let's get on with the show. Hello, Pat. Nice to see and talk to you again.
Hello, Greg. Likewise. I'm looking forward to the whole week.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're back to our regular schedule.
Yeah.
I enjoyed summer, but I miss talking to you, and yeah, I've looked forward to this for the whole week. So yeah, I'm really glad.
Me too.
Long-time listeners or listeners who pay attention, they might know that episode 56 is the episode where we decided, or where the die decided that we talk D&D again.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pretty cool D&D topic today.
Oh yes,
but before we do that, let's talk about everything else we enjoyed. So, Pat, anything interesting you found out recently?
Yes. Greg, I always say I don't watch trailers because I don't want to be spoiled or anything. And, well, I watched the trailer and I was spoiled. And the trailer I've watched is the one for Spiderman. I think it will be released this year, if I'm not mistaken.
In December, yeah.
Very early, yeah. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I thought maybe I get a glimpse of what they are trying to do with everything that had happened in the MCU the past previous weeks. And yeah, I shouldn't have done this. Did you watch it?
Yes, I try, or at least I wish I tried not to watch trailers, but I can't help myself. I always say, no, I'm not going to, but then new trailer pops up, be it Dune or be it Spiderman No Way Home, and I just have to watch it. And I think we're trying not to spoil anything from the trailer.
Yeah, we try to,
but I completely agree with you. And the thing is, what annoys me is there are a few really cool reveals in the trailer. Mm. But honestly, most of these things have been revealed, at least to me, by a tweet or by a news item that I stumbled across without even looking. I mean, sorry, I'm not searching Google for who was cast in Spider-Man 3. They just tell me. And I think what you're referring to when you wished you hadn't watched the trailer, I just wish I could sit in a movie theater in December and just see all these surprises and be actually surprised because, a press release didn't spoil them for me.
Exactly.
At this point, it's just one of the reasons why the internet has been a really, really bad idea.
Yes. No, it would have been so great if we could have seen this in the movie, seeing it unfold before our eyes with all the preamble and everything that leads to those scenes. And yeah, I promise I'll never watch a trailer again.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Now, as you said, this is really, really hard. I've started to tweet a little bit. I'm on Twitter, and it's really, really hard not to be spoiled by people who are, especially those people who are complaining about things. And they are so loud, and it kind of it's like an avalanche. Someone starts with it, then there are those that are kind of defending it, and those that are just along for the ride, and it's almost impossible not to be spoiled nowadays, as you said.
I mean, you talk about people complaining. Obviously, that's how the internet works today.
Yeah.
It's just a whole bunch of people complaining. And with the Spider-Man trailer in particular, some people, like we two, we're complaining because honestly, they showed us too much. We would have gone anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So just tell us, Spider-Man 3, don't even give us a title, I don't care. Spider-Man 3, just a logo over a black screen, give us the date, I'm gonna be there.
We'll be there.
But yeah,
exactly.
they showed us too much. But there are other people, they complain because they didn't see that person or this thing in a trailer. And honestly, I mean, you're doing it wrong. You want these things, or at least I want these things to be a surprise in the movie. I want to be surprised how certain things happen. And I mean, there are videos already about plot points from the movie and what's wrong with them. And they're basing their whole videos just on some moments from the trailer. And in the past, Marvel has tricked us with their trailers. They shot scenes for trailers that haven't been part of the movie, or the other way around and stuff like that. So, I mean, come on, it's marketing. They want you to go there. No more, no less. But yeah, I wish, just as you, sometimes they could show us a little bit less, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just because they have tricked us before, I still kind of hope that we will be surprised this winter. And yeah, maybe some plot points are not exactly how they are shown in the trailer. And I would love that. I mean, these are brilliant plot points, really. And I think this will be a really great movie. But yeah, I would have waited till December.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about the Spider-Man trailer?
No, I don't want to spoil anything. If you really want to be spoiled, go watch it. It's a great trailer nonetheless. And over to you.
Okay, so now that I talked about how I don't like people talking too early about casting notices, I'm going to be a complete hypocrite and talk about some hypothetical casting. Because, yeah, that's who I am. So
every time.
Yeah, I'm definitely not consistent. So what happened, I stumbled across this internet story. It's some tweets. Basically at this point it's nothing, but I hope it is going to be something. So Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa, they're at the moment they're starring together in C. That's the second season of C. That's the show on Apple TV Plus. And later this year in October, they're on screen together in Dune. I don't know how many scenes they have together, but apparently they work together and they seem to like each other, or kind of they get along. So the internet has decided that they should do a buddy cop movie together. And it's one of those things, I did not know I wanted that, but now I do. Because I'm a huge fan of Dave Bautista. I think he's a really, really talented actor. There are many wrestlers turned actors. In my opinion, he's the most talented actor of those. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, Oscar nomination as a Best Supporting Actor for Dave Bautista, I'd bet on that. And Jason Momoa, maybe not the best actor. He's not the Daniel Day-Lewis or whatever. Please, Jason Momoa, don't reach for me through the screen or whatever. But that guy just oozes charisma.
Yeah.
So I think Bautista and Momoa together in a buddy cop comedy by kind of from a decent writer with good direction, I think that could be something that I might be interested in.
Definitely. That sounds actually like a pretty great idea. I mean, as you said, Dave Bautista, I like this guy. I like the way he acts and how he grew as an actor. He does a great job. And I mean, Jason Momoa, he's just so cool. I really could see those two together in a buddy cop movie. And I'm just thinking we didn't have that many buddy cop movies in the last few years, did we?
There have been some I would argue more comedies than, I mean, we're talking about those 80s buddy cop. Or
the typical.
Shane Black did a few recently, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Nice Guys. And Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista in something like that, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And let's decide never to talk about this again until that movie comes out.
It's a deal.
It's a deal. Never ever talk about it again. No plot points from here on in.
All right.
Okay. Moving on. Do you have anything interesting for our listeners to check out this week?
Oh, yes. And it's a game, and it's actually very untypical for me. It's not a retro game.
Seriously?
It's seriously a modern game. It has just been released last couple of weeks, I think. And it's by Capcom.
Okay.
And it's a game called The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It's basically an adventure game. It's a courtroom simulator / visual novel. I don't know. I think the Ace Attorney series has been... people know about that, especially the first few ones with Phoenix Wright as the main protagonist, with the whole objection and this going on. And now what happened is in the Ace Attorney Chronicles is that they took this game and put it into the Victorian era. And you know, I am a fan of the Victorian era. But the interesting part is, while we get the Victorian London and everything, it actually starts in the same era in Japan. And it's pretty well made. It's a visual novel. Don't expect any graphical things that a typical AAA title would have. But it looks great. It is very well written, as has been the whole series. And because it's no longer a continuation, they don't use the same characters anymore, which gives it an extremely fresh atmosphere. I mean, they use a lot of the same character tropes again, because it's an Ace Attorney game, but it really, it feels like a new game, and it feels like they had the possibility to create new characters and make interesting new situations and everything. It's really great. You didn't play any of the Ace Attorney games, didn't you?
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
From what you're describing, you said visual novel. So what's the play like, or what's the gameplay? Is it you follow a dialogue tree, or is it an adventure, or? There
is some investigation going on, but the main game plays inside the courtroom, where you have dialogue, witness dialogue that you cross-examine, and then you collect clues and stuff, and you use these clues to kind of tell those witnesses are lying or they have facts wrong. And with that, you slowly try to win this case. You're an attorney, and it's kind of a backwards justice systems where you're the one, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. So it's it's kind of backwards, which makes it fun as a game. It's really cool. There's a lot of reading.
Yeah, and you collect those items before you go to the courtroom, or
usually the court is adjourned for a while, and you can collect more items. Yeah, but it's back and forth.
Back and forth. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very interesting type of game. It's very slow, and if you watch it, let's say on YouTube, it looks very, very boring. But because it's mostly still pictures with a lot of text. But when you're in it and you're actually invested in a case, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I have 2 games as well. No retro games, no visual novels, actually 2 loud AAA games. I'm going to start with the newer one. So recently, the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut came out. Obviously, we're not going to go into a discussion why director's cut is just a horrible name for a version of a computer game. It makes no sense at all, but that's a different story. That being said, this new version of Ghost of Tsushima is actually pretty good. I owned the game on PS4, so I went for the PS5 upgrade. So I'm playing it on PS5 now. I have the new expansion, Iki Island, which adds some new gameplay elements, some new elements. And I'm really, really glad that this new version came out because it gave me a reason to revisit Ghost of Tsushima. And it's probably one of the most gorgeous games I ever played. Japan, the flowers, the colorful trees. I mean, have you played it?
No, I just played, that demo version
on
the PS4. Yeah.
At this point, I don't remember how good it looked on the PS4 because on the PS5 it just looks amazing. But it also looked good on the PS4. But the colors and the set pieces they have and the storytelling, it's just an amazing game, and I think everyone should play and enjoy it. And yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, if you haven't played the game, this is the reason to do it. It's really, 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 really great. That being said, listeners might recall that I reignited my love for FPS shooters recently. I checked out Doom Eternal, and so on. And yeah, that got me thinking about all those IT games I liked as a kid. And I tried to look around what else is around there. So I stumbled upon this story that this week or last week, when this episode comes out, there was QuakeCon. And before QuakeCon, there was this rumor that they were going to release a new Quake, which, newsflash, they actually did, but they released the old Quake for pretty much every console that there is. Mm-hmm. I actually tried that one out as well, and it's a pretty cool port, honestly. Mm-hmm. But one rumor was that Machine Games, the company that did the new Wolfenstein games, was about to reboot Quake. I've never heard of Machine Games. I thought, what? There are new Wolfenstein games that I haven't played, because the last Wolfenstein game I played was, let's say back in the 80s or early 90s. I don't know, but we all know which game we talk about. That game where, as far as I know, I've never seen an original copy of that game.
Well, it was a mail order game, so it's pretty hard to get an original copy.
But okay, so here's the thing. I decided, because I apparently have it on Game Pass, I decided to play Wolfenstein New Order. And it's a pretty cool game. So for me, I liked Doom and I like Doom Eternal because of the craziness of the gameplay, of the fights. I really liked Wolfenstein New Order because of the story. And that's the thing that surprised me the most about these machine games. And I just started to play the second part. They're actually telling a pretty cool story, and I did not expect that from a Wolfenstein game. So, yeah. Honestly, if you want a pretty cool narrative-driven FPS game, Wolfenstein New Order, and I think the second part is called The New Colossus, there are pretty good. Actually pretty good. Have you played Wolfenstein New Order?
I've played New Order. I haven't played New Colossus, but I played New Order, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. I mean, the machine games, they are the ones, if I'm not mistaken, who will create the new Indiana Jones game.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they did some really cool things with storytelling and, those games, they look gorgeous and they play well. They're a lot of fun to play. Yeah, good choice.
Maybe to have that little Indiana Jones discussion. I think if they take some storytelling elements or some design elements from Wolfenstein, mix it a little bit with Uncharted, and use the Nazi assets they have from Wolfenstein, I think that could work.
Definitely.
I think that could work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Wolfenstein New Order is pretty great.
It's pretty good.
Good choice.
Okay. So that's it for Check This Out. So let's move on to our main topic, our story of the week. Let's play some Dungeons and Dragons.
I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
We talked about character classes. We talked about what we like about the game. And for this week's episode, we decided to kind of take a little bit of a different approach. So the idea, or what we want to talk about today, is playing D&D as a character versus playing D&D well. And if that sounds confusing, the title of this episode is My Wizard Wouldn't Do That. And at the moment, none of us is playing a wizard, but how important is the role-playing element for you? Or how important is it to play the game well in a way to maximize your actions, to maximize your your damage per round in a fighting encounter? So what's more important to you, playing your character or playing to win?
I mean, that's a really good question, because this is something that everyone asks himself the first time he plays any role-playing game. I mean, we focus on D&D today, but a lot of what we will be talking about today is applicable for any role-playing game you play. And when you create a character, of course you want a great character. You want to survive your encounters. You want to not fail. But I think even more important than that is the way you survive these encounters, the way your character manages to not fail despite everything. Because, I mean, a role-playing game, and Dungeons and Dragons in particular, is a game about playing a story, about creating a story together. It's not the players against the dungeon master, or even one player against another player. It's always about creating something together within a rule set, yes, but this is, I mean, if you tell a story, you also have your own rule set in your mind. Even if it's a fantasy story, you just cannot make your characters do anything except maybe your Harry Potter or something, where everything goes. But even then, there is a certain rule set which the characters should follow. And the most interesting part of every story is the character growth, how they start out, how they fail, how they struggle. And Dungeons & Dragons, the rules do a great job to make you weak in the beginning. But what you do with it is what counts. Wouldn't you say, Greg?
It's interesting that you mention character growth, because kind of that's something that's I find a little bit challenging. When I look at my character sheet, at my character backgrounds, I mean, you have bonds, you have strength, you have ideals or whatever. But the most important thing for me always is the flaw.
Yeah.
And then you come to a point, because, we're talking about collaborative storytelling, and storytelling or any story is about the characters overcoming their flaws. So at which level is it okay to overcome my flaw? Is it level 5? Is it level 6? Or is it level 7?
12, actually.
12. It's level 12.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, because in most of the Dungeons and Dragons games you play, you don't know, as the player, you don't have any idea how long this story will take. This could be, I mean, a couple of sessions, maybe something that you play a year or two, and that's very hard to find your own points. I agree wholeheartedly with that. So personally, I try not to make it being bound to the level my character has, but I try to actually incorporate everything else that runs in the current campaign, and to try to find a good reason why my character changes. In our current campaign, I'm playing a sorceress, and I started out with someone who does not actually know any characters from my party, and I just got dragged along because I had my own reasons to go with them. And I basically tried not to get hurt, to stand out of the way of everyone, even though sometimes in a fight I probably would have been able to make a fight shorter with the right spells, but it wouldn't fit to my character. So I tried not to use these spells at that point. And now my character is at a point where she has become friends with the other players. And now what happens to my character, what I was playing is, for example, if we stay in a fight scenario, that if one of my friends is seriously hurt, or even, is near death or something, then she will always have that sort of the defending that one friend, or even avenge him in the sort of, she will attack the monster that actually attacked that one that hurt my friend. And so sometimes this is a hard decision for me as well, because I know in a more tactical, in a more objective fight, I would probably attack someone else because it makes more sense. for tactical reasons. But for my character who actually has befriended that other character, it makes more sense to attack the attacker and maybe, do not contribute to the overall battle as much as I could have, but just because I'm following what my character would do.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you use the witch bolt, okay. It's an inside joke. Bear with me.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And I think also that's the way I like to play the game as well. And for me, because most of my storytelling brain cells, they're deeply rooted in movie and television shows. Kind of to answer my question from before, when is it okay for my character to overcome his flaw, to learn his lesson? It's in the third act.
Yeah, it would be.
And I think the problem is, you have a fairly good idea how long the story is going to last, because usually you agree on that, what kind of story you're going to tell, and you know. But in that third act, you need the right moment to actually learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And in any story, in any movie, in any TV show, it's a very powerful moment. So there might be cases where you actually risk, let's say you almost risk a total party kill because your character is not ready to learn his lesson. And there are two sides to this. Obviously, the table has to bear with you.
Yeah.
If the way you play your character annoys the whole table, maybe you need to have a discussion about that. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if the way you play your table provokes or maybe gives other characters a chance to shine in this situation, I think you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And
definitely.
not trying to talk myself up here or whatever. In our last session, my stubborn artificer, I think the moment was critical. So I almost risked a total party kill because of my stubbornness, or because of the not my stubbornness, because of the stubbornness of Archibald. Okay, it's a little bit my stubbornness as well, but different discussion. But because of my stubbornness, it gave our rogue a really cool moment to shine.
Yeah.
And I would argue if I hadn't been that stubborn, the rogue wouldn't have had that cool moment.
Of course not.
And because I created, obviously the DM created the problem because he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that Archibald couldn't let that go. He knew that. Come on. We're not kidding anyone. He knew that Archibald couldn't. It's like this Archibald, he has what I call the Marty McFly fault.
Yeah.
And this guy, he didn't call me a chicken, but he annoyed me. Let's put it like that. He annoyed me. But I think it was my fault that the situation almost escalated. Mm-hmm. But then our rogue, he was there and he had a pretty cool moment, de-escalated the situation, and he got some inspiration for it.
Oh, yeah. He also needed some inspiration.
He needed some inspiration, yeah. And I think from a storytelling perspective, kind of the story that we're telling together, I think that was the better moment than if I had swallowed my pride, or if Archibald had followed his pride. And I'm not sure if playing like that is is mean towards other players or the DM, or if it's the way that it's supposed to go.
I think, one of the things that worked very, very well in that situation that Archibald created was that we knew how Archibald is, how stubborn he can be. You already established that very early in our adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And where you actually had Archibald stay in prison, even though he could flee, or he could have gone out earlier if he would, if I remember correctly, he would have to say something that he didn't want to, I think.
I think I had to pay some money or something.
Yeah.
I think at first
exactly.
it was just apologizing.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think there was a build up. There was a build up.
And the thing was, you established this character trait in a non-lethal situation. And I mean, of course, the other players, especially in their characters, were annoyed about Archibald. The players, not so much. I think they had a lot of fun. But it was really great because the rest of the party was trying to come up with solutions how they could get Archibald out of there by any means necessary so they could continue. And there were some really, really fun situations that happened because of that. And I think that one situation established the character so well that when this happened last session with these, I think it was a guard captain, all of us knew exactly that this wouldn't go well. And some of us were kind of getting into position for a fight. And as you said, the rogue tried to de-escalate everything, and he managed to do that, and he was kind of the hero because of that. It was so fun. And the player who played that rogue, he was literally sweating because he was really, really nervous whether this would work or not, because it was a really high role that he needed to have, and he needed his own inspiration. He was just glad that he had inspiration to kind of make that role a little easier. But nonetheless, it still could have failed, and that would have meant a really, really tough fight. I don't think that we would have died there, but it was... We all were very nervous, and this is so great.
I don't know what the DM had planned for that encounter. I mean, I think the encounter could have been deadly, technically. But that being said, as a DM, and I've been on both sides of the table, I think as a DM, I would try my best not to kill the characters in a situation like that. Because, I mean, if you get a total party kill because one player plays his character and is kind of stubborn, that's not ideal for the mood, I would argue.
Yeah. I mean, if I would have been the DM, I would probably have made a really big fight. But in the end, probably everyone would be in prison or some such, if they would have lost. Something like that. So I wouldn't have killed them. And yeah, because I want to encourage role-playing as a DM. If a player does something that's really great for character building, for party building and everything, I don't want them to die. I want them to be encouraged. I want them to be happy that they did it. So We have a great DM, so
Yeah,
I
obviously,
guess
yeah,
he would,
yeah.
yeah, he would probably have done something like that, something similar.
I think it's a question of improvisation.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he did not have that planned like that.
Probably not like that, no.
But I think with our group, you always have to anticipate the combat encounter.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, again, there are two kinds of players in these things, in this kind of situations. One kind of player is like you with Archibald, where you actually do something that is very relevant for your character, and you actually do it in a way that the other players can react to it, to create nice situations and create either a friendly rivalry, which is cool, or to enhance the friendship between the players. What is not cool if there is a player, let's say a player plays a rogue, the loner type rogue, where he doesn't want to do anything with anyone. And whenever, I don't know, if they go into a tavern or something, he's like, I go into the dark corner and I watch everyone and don't do anything. And
He's Batman, isn't he?
that was your Batman rogue idea, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this could be a potentially very interesting character, but if it starts to be very passive, not engage in group conversation and everything because he's the loner, then it gets really, really annoying. And this is not the way to play a role-playing game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In a way, your character, Faye, has been a little bit like that because I think it's part of her journey. She was the loner in the beginning, but kind of part of her character is she tried to open up.
Yeah.
And I think that makes her an interesting character. And I think she's probably the only character that no one in the group hates.
You think so?
But I think all the others are kind of annoying to each other, at least a little bit, some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we all have, let's say, annoying qualities. But with your character, with Faye, it's just, she doesn't know better. She's just naive and everything. So I think we bear with it, which I kind of like. And as always, I can't help myself. I picture our campaign as a TV show.
Yeah.
And I would argue kind of the character relationships, it kind of works.
Mm.
And we're almost like the Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't like each other, but we're starting to grow into a family.
Yeah, good point.
Because there's so many cases where my character Archibald says, I should just let you die. Mm. When someone else, for example, tries to open a cupboard without checking for traps or whatever. And I think it's exactly what Rocket Raccoon would say when, let's say, Drax does something stupid.
Yeah.
But then again, he would carry him away or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where our party is. We're really, really annoyed at each other sometimes. But we're starting to become a family.
You're so right.
I'm always right. It's a curse. It's a gift and a curse.
But now actually there is a shift in Faye's character because she had some kind of one of our group, a cleric named Gaius, she saw him a little bit as a surrogate father. And now she's at a point where she does no longer trust him. And I will see where I develop that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the question there is, do you go in the direction of, keeping, not trusting him? Or do you take in the direction of Faye growing up and realizing that the world is more complicated than she thought it was?
Yeah, that's a good point. That is something I said last time. There are elements in this world that Faye hasn't encountered before, and how she deals with them. I mean, she is a 16-year-old girl who grew up in the forest. She has to learn a lot of things.
She has to learn a lot of things.
And she is very naive.
Okay, yeah. I mean, just to reiterate one thing, and again, storytelling, I think it's important for characters to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because mistakes create story. And the plot, mistakes create character moments, mistakes create drama and character moments. That's the story. And I think the plot is just there to give players the opportunity to create those moments. So
yeah, this is what makes it great, playing with people who are not just... We always said the term power gamer, the ones that just min-maxing their stats and they won't just win everything, and they're annoyed if you don't use the spell that would probably be most suitable for the situation, and by favoring another spell.
Like Witch Bolt.
I mean, this is certainly something that everyone at the table needs to learn and grow into. Most of the time, if you start a new game with someone, these are not the people you have played for years and years, and you have to get into the play styles of the others. And I think this is something the players need to get to know each other as players just as much as the characters do.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
And I mean, speaking of TV series and something, there is always the possibility to retcon something. If you realize that something that you had in mind and it just not work out the way you thought it would, if it's just not as cool as you thought, if you feel like, okay, this is more annoying than likable, just retcon it. It's not necessary to have a reason for everything. They were retconning on TV all the time.
I mean,
it's okay.
Speaking of retconning, spoiler alert, those days you thought I was in prison. You're going to be surprised.
This sounds really, really ominous. But that's a good point, actually, Greg. If you try to retcon something, or just if you have an idea, talk with your DM. That's always a good way to start. If you have an idea that you want to implement and you're not sure about that, talk with your DM. Maybe he thinks it's a great idea, and he even gives you a little segue to that point you wanted to implement in your character. So yeah, or if you just want to transform your days spent in prison for no reason into something great. Yeah, why not?
I was on a side quest. Secret mission.
Secret mission. No, but these things can be a lot of fun because they are surprising for the players and the characters. And this is really, really great.
That's what the game is all about.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, this was I think so far, I think this was our most fun D&D discussion, actually. I really like this.
Yeah, I think we should talk more about little things and about D&D or role-playing, not just about classes and races and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about gameplay.
Maybe we can adapt this kind of segment for movies or for TV shows, kind of for other ideas and concepts as well. Because it was, I mean, I'm not sure, maybe our listeners completely disagree that it was too highbrow, too wild, too out there. But I mean, honestly, these are the discussions I missed the most during the pandemic.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
These are exactly those discussions.
Yeah, these are exactly those, yeah. Okay, I mean, I have a lot of things to think about now. And I'm probably going to have to think about that retcon for our next session. Or maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think we can leave it at that.
Yeah, good idea.
But we need to do one more thing because we wrap today's episode up. Because as always, when we talk D&D, at the end of the episode, we let the die decide. So, Pat, when our next episode that we talk D&D? Last time I rolled a die. Today it's your turn.
Yeah, the D20 is ready. And let's do it. 11. So today is episode 56. So that would make it 67. Yeah, exactly. Sounds like a plan.
So maybe you have to adjust it with our unplugged schedule or whatever. But around episode 67, we have another D&D topic. I'm already looking forward to it.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Okay. So let's wrap it up then. This is it for this week. Please like, share, and subscribe to our little podcast. We're on all major podcasting services, YouTube, and on www.passionofthegeeks.com. Please send in questions or suggestions or anything. At this point, I'm even taking critique to passionofthegeeks@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Twitter at PassionOTGeeks. Pat, as always, a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So take care, Greg.
Take care, Pat. Bill, strange things are afoot at the Circle K.